You mentioned Rosenior. Actually, I'm curious, like, how has he been doing in Chelsea? Because, like, I've got to be honest, like, I rated him within the context of Strasbourg, and I think he did great work there. But I think, like, many people, myself included, were a bit doubtful that he was going to be able to like raise the bar to settle into Chelsea. And I think, going into this game, obviously, like, it's the next level, like the final stages of the Champions League. So I'm curious how you see him as well in that context, and like whether he's going to be able to to just like face the pressure and face like those very particular kind of games.
I actually really like Liam Rosenior, if I'm honest. He instantly fixed a lot of problems for me that I had with Enzo Maresca. Like, I thought my biggest issue with Enzo Maresca was lack of accountability. Enzo Maresca would do wild stuff, like make crazy subs and, change the centre-back pairings all the time. And then when we'd lose a game or get a bad result, he'd come out and be like, oh, it's because the players are bad. Do you know what I mean? And he'd throw players under the bus. Like, I don't like that at all. Yeah. He was too dogmatic in his tactical stuff. Like, he was really, really big on byline wingers staying really, really wide, and our, Cole Palmer in the middle and João Pedro and Liam Delap up top getting zero service at all because the ball is just constantly being funneled out wide. So Liam Rosenior's come in and addressed some of those things instantly, but something you've hit on is, does he have what it takes in order to carry us through these big games? There has, for instance, we've played Arsenal 3 times since Rosenior came in and drawn 1, lost 2. I think so. Something like that. So he's not, in the Premier League, he hasn't beaten any big opposition yet. The Napoli game was huge. Do you know what I mean? In the Champions League, and we were, he came back and he won that. I think the jury's still kind of out, to be completely honest, but I like what I see. What I am seeing, and in the game against Wrexham yesterday, we saw it in particular, is a bit of naivety sometimes. And, this is such a big job compared to, don't get me wrong, Strasbourg are doing unbelievably well. Of course they are, but this is a massive job in comparison to that. And he won't really have faced these kind of pressures before, like you say. So the jury's still out. Like, in general, like, he started amazingly, and then the draws against Leeds and Burnley were really tough. At this point in the season, that should have been 6 points in the bag. We would be in 3rd place in the Premier League right now if we'd have won those 2 games. But he threw those away, and we've got a really, really tough run at the end of the season as well, excluding the Champions League coming up against yourself. And, we've still got to play both the Manchester clubs, and do you know what I mean? It's going to be really tough. But I do think we'll get Champions League. I think, unfortunately, a lot of the results around us, we're relying on a lot of results around us rather than just being able to say, like, can we just go and get it for ourselves? But I do think he can do it. And as of right now, I'm not looking at him being like, get him out, I want someone else in. Like, I think there's definitely something there. One amazing thing about Liam Rosenior that has really been a big plus is how he handles himself in the press and how he deals with the press and stuff. And he's definitely saying all the right things at the very least, whereas Maresca could be a little bit cold and a little bit frosty sometimes.
Yeah. That's interesting, because Rosenior, like, he left France on like his last press conference was a train wreck of a press conference. When he went, like, literally, like, he put the whole of French football against him and managed to, like, piss off literally everyone in France in one go. So it's like brilliant, but yeah, like, definitely not what you want to be doing. And yeah, like, I think for those games, I remember last season. So last season at that stage, that's when we played Liverpool. And I think Arne Slot not having that much experience at that level cost them big time. I don't think there were obvious gaping mistakes from him, but I think, like, the tiny details play such a role that, yeah, it just, I feel good. It's one of the few things where I actually feel good right now, is that I think the comparison between Luis Enrique and Rosenior, it's an area where I feel we've got the upper end.
No, yeah, definitely. It's one of the things, like, you are one of the last teams in world football that has a qualified winning manager. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It is a dying breed of manager. You've got Hansi Flick at Barcelona, you've got Luis Enrique at, and Guardiola in Man City, and that's basically it. Everyone else is this new and upcoming manager who doesn't have lots of experience in winning. So that's the scary thing, is like, if we sack Rosenior, you get another version of the same guy. Do you know what I mean? Whether it be like Fabregas or Iraola or Joe Hertzler or whatever. There's it is all, there are not these winning, experienced winning managers out there anymore. So definitely one of the reasons I'm nervous about this game is for that in particular. Now, there are reasons I'm positive about it, but Luis Enrique is, he's won things. He knows what it takes to win at the highest level across multiple clubs. So that's definitely
I think just to close off on the coach and to give you like some good reasons to believe, Rosenior with Strasbourg against PSG actually has a very decent record. I think it's one win, one draw, one defeat. And I know, like, for us playing against Strasbourg for the past couple of years, it's always been one of those games where we know it's a difficult opponent. It's an opponent that you're going to get stuck in against and so on. So he's always done well, not only in terms of result, but also like putting together a squad and a team and a way of playing that for us is always difficult to go up against.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
Anyway, so like going back to the PSG versus Chelsea game, like what do you think is going to be your starting 11 for the game?
So I have a feeling that it's probably going to be the same starting 11 that we put out against Aston Villa. Well, nearly. So I've got a feeling, I don't love this, I think Philip Jorgensen's going to start in goal, because he played against Aston Villa the other day, and that was such an important game for us because we're very close to each other in the table right now. We're both fighting for Champions League, and Robert Sanchez has been worrying recently, 100%. So I actually have a feeling that it's going to be Philip Jorgensen in goal. I think it will maybe be Malagusto at right back, Trevor Chalobah and Wesley Fofana in defence, Marc Cucurella at left back, midfield three of Moises Caicedo, Reece James and Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer on the right, Pedro Neto on the left, and João Pedro up top is what I'm expecting to see.
Okay.
What about you?
I think on our side, so we've got Safonov in goal, or Russian goalkeeper. Hakimi on the right, who's on his way back up, but has had like a difficult season as well, and like the after effect of AFCON hasn't been good for him, but he's coming back now. In the middle, so Pacho for sure, and then like I think Marquinhos, but a little bit of a question mark on whether Zabarni could get the start. But I think like probably like 80-85% Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes on the left, Vitinha in 6. Then the next two spots in midfield are kind of a little bit of a question mark because João Neves missed out the last 2 games on injury, but he's supposed to be back now. So do we want to start him fresh off an injury? Like, it's a hard one. Zaire Emery should be in there. And then, I think either João Neves or maybe Kangin Lee or Mayulu. Like, I really don't know. And then up front, Dembele played 30 minutes against Monaco, but realistically was only good for 15 minutes of them. So it's kind of worrisome. But we've got like Barcola has been doing okay recently. Kvara, there's always hope in a Champions League game. And Doué, basically he qualified us against Monaco at the round before. So those 3, like one of them is going to have to sit out between those 3 and Dembele. But there's enough to do 3.
Yeah, it's a scary team either way, man. I know how it feels, obviously, from your perspective that, it's been a tough season and stuff, but I hear like Desiree Doué, Hakimi, do you know what I mean, Ousmane Dembele, and I'm just like, oh, mate.
Oh, man, that's why I still have some hope, because we know there's talent there. They haven't been able to extract it as well as last season, but there is talent for sure. There's a lot of noise around the team that they're extremely motivated after the Club World Cup game as well. So I do hope there's a little bit of like revenge in the air. Honestly, like for me as a fan, I want the win for the win. I don't really care about the Club World Cup anymore. I think the player, even like the end of the game and the kind of like tussle on the ground and so on, I think there was a little bit of like that's kind of stuck in their head a little bit. That's why I want to see João Neves on the pitch for like round 2 against Cucurella as well.
Yeah.
It could be interesting.
I definitely get the feeling that it's going to be a testy game. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's going to be a bit fiery. The second leg, especially, depending on what goes on. Do you know what I mean? At Stamford Bridge, I feel like there might be some fireworks in Stamford Bridge when you guys come to us.
It's one of the things that I've heard as well, and I think we've identified is that we know Chelsea has been getting quite a few red cards, and so I think like it's been also noted that like maybe there's a way of like getting them out of their game a little bit and kind of like pushing them to do this sort of mistakes. Monaco's around before, we managed to like get them red carded like once in each game. So we played 11v10 for like the majority of the games, which really helped. So yeah, like hopefully that's something that's on our side we can encourage.
I can't believe I haven't even mentioned the red cards. There's been so much other annoying stuff about this season. I literally forgot about the red cards. But you're right, 100%. It's been better under Rosenior, but we have still seen it a few times. And it's not even just our young players and stuff either, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like Wesley Fofana and Pedro Neto. But the one thing I will say is after the last one, supposedly there's like a zero tolerance policy. Like you'll just get dropped, you'll just get hooked. There's no time for it anymore. If you get a yellow because you've mouthed off at the ref, you lack the ability to make a last ditch tackle that might get you a yellow card. Now it's gone. Do you know what I mean? So I think Rosenior is going to start being a bit more sort of like savage on players that act that way, and we need it, man. We need it. And this is such a massive night. Like we can't get too, it's good to get caught up in the moment in a way, but we have to play the game, not the event. Do you know what I mean?
Well, so, plus I know for you guys, for English team, it's always the thing in the Champions League as well, right? That for you, like the referee in the Champions League is kind of harder than in the Premier League. When for us, it's like kind of open season versus league. We can do anything, but for English team, it's always a little bit of an adjustment in terms of how much impact they can put.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah. All right, predictions. You want to risk it?
Yeah, I'll do it. I think we're going to win 3-1 in Paris, and then it'll be a 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it can happen. And I think, like I said it before, I think you guys are coming in as favorites. So I think, could definitely happen. I think for me, the way I see it is that I see, maybe a draw in Parc des Princes, a 2-2 kind of draw, a draw with some goals. And then, I don't know. I see this game kind of going deep. I've got every PSG fan is thinking of Liverpool last season, where we lost 1-0 in the Parc des Princes and managed to go get the win and the penalties in Anfield. Yeah. Something like this could definitely be happening as well. Yeah. So a draw or a draw in Paris, and then a draw or little win in London, kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. For me, it's more biased than actual what do I think will happen. But I think that if we are going to get something out of this tie, both of these legs of this tie, we have to go in, we have to attack you the most in France, and then try and defend ourselves in at Stamford Bridge. Do you know what I mean? I think if we're going to get through this tie, I think that's probably how it will happen. Whether it's 3-1 or 2-1 or whatever, do you know what I mean? Or even a 1-0, who knows? But I think, I'm expecting to see us with a lot more attacking impetus in France than I am in the return leg, unless of course you win. And we've got to come from behind in Stamford Bridge. But that's how I expect it to play out.
I think for us, the hope that we have is that at some point you've got to score goals, and so we need to somehow find our way into either having a lead or having a draw into the return and something. And if you guys start actually needing to attack and needing to open space at the back, that's when we get an opportunity. And I think if that doesn't happen, realistically, the clock will run out on us at some point. That's what I've got as well. So that's why draw in the Parc des Princes, and then maybe on the return, cheeky goal on the 75th minute, and kind of go through this. I'll definitely take that and see what happens next.
One thing I will say is I'm so glad we drew you, because I did not want to play Newcastle at this point. For me, it's genuinely I was buzzing when we drew PSG, man. I was like, yes, and A, because I wanted to talk to you again, do you know what I mean? But B, I think it's just going to be a more fun game to watch. Do you know what I mean? I think it's going to be a much more fun game to watch, and I think that Newcastle, they're a bit of a bogey team for us at St James's Park. Do you know what I mean? We always struggle at St James's Park, and
same for us.
I love this this international rivalry that's developing between our two clubs. There's no reason for it to really exist other than the Club World Cup, but it just feels like we've had very similar seasons and we've both got like world-class players in our squad, and it's not just going to be like PSG shutting up shop for 2 games in order to and trying to nick a goal. I think we're both going to try and go at each other, so I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think I completely agree on that, but I think for us it was funny because when the draw was on, literally like the vast majority of PSG fans were like, better for us if we draw Barcelona, but we face them like literally 4 times a year and their fan base is so annoying as well. Like I'd rather just face Chelsea and like harder opponent. If we lose, but like, at least it's something different. And like, like the history is just much more fun this way. So like we were kind of happy with this.
It's the best thing about the Champions League as well, isn't it? Like, again, another reason I didn't want to play Newcastle was like, we've played Newcastle this season already. Do you know what I mean? And we play Newcastle every single season. So, in the Champions League, like, I want these big games. Do you know what I mean? We've played Barcelona already. We've played Bayern Munich. Do you know what I mean? It's like, rather than like a replay or something, I'm really, really happy that we came up against you guys.
That's where I'm also a little bit excited that we're actually like, not favorites going into this game. Is like, if we end up winning, if we end up qualifying, I know like it's even sweeter when you go into this, like, and you're not necessarily expecting to go through. And if we have like, it's not going to be, a lightning strike out of nowhere or anything if PSG qualifies against Chelsea. Like, I think it's like, I don't think it's 50-50, but I don't think it's 90-10 either. So, but yeah, like it would be sweet and it'd be a nice win. I'd be like definitely happy for this.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Well, that's how I feel about it, basically, man. It's like, I feel, like I say, I'm going into this 50-50. I am not going to be surprised either way it goes, I think.
Yeah. You're an English team as well. Guys, like what we say is that like at this point of the season, you guys need to start focusing on the EPL anyway. So that's when you see all of the English teams starting to drop off Europe anyway.
It's a fair point, man.
We'll be happy to help out if we can.
Yeah, well, if you knock us out, at least that gives us maybe an extra couple of weeks to try and scrape into the Champions League before the end of the season for next year. So we'll see how it happens, man. Nice one.
Anyway, all right, man. Well, that was good talking to you. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm kind of really looking forward now. I'm really hyped. So thanks so much for doing this. Pleasure as always. We'll see how we fare on in those 2 games. And thanks for coming on the channel, man.
Nah, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. And if anyone happens to be tuning into this through my channel, check out Red and Blue PSG. Like, absolutely love it. I drop into your lives every now and again, man, and it's great stuff, mate. It's always good to talk to you. Thanks for having me on.
You beat me to it. Yeah, like same thing for people on my channel. Like, go check him out. Like the Stanford Sync, amazing content on Chelsea. It's always good to keep an eye on what's going on in the EPL, and Chelsea is a good way to do it as well. Et bonne chance, hein?